Will riding a scooter actually save you money over driving a car? I decided to buy a scooter because I was hoping that it would save some money and maybe save the environment by at least getting one car off the road. But I wasn't sure if I was being naive. Fuel prices were relatively low at the time. I was driving around in a small SUV because I have a family that I have to tote around from time to time, and then I would take the same SUV and drive it with myself only to work. I wasn't sure, like, does it actually save money? Because it's not like I could get rid of the family car altogether. And then there's the expenses of actually getting the scooter beyond just the scooter itself. So you layer it all in with a modest commute, a family, all the gear that's needed to ride a scooter. Gas prices were relatively low for the time. Scooters require premium gas. There's just so much swirling around. I finally sat down to figure out how much I've saved or not. So what I did to break this down was it's kind of like two different case studies, because there sounds like there's a lot of what ifs in the air here. So case study number one is adding a scooter. So I'm keeping my car and I have a scooter. Did that actually save me money? First, what expenses can you expect? The scooter itself. I've got an article on the website if you're not really sure what to expect about scooter costs, but for this buddy kick that's 125cc, the scooter plus all of the related fees, we were looking at $3,500 for the drive out. And then there's licensing. So in my state, you have to take a mandated course. It was $250. It definitely killed a weekend, even though it was totally worth it, just for me to get the motorcycle endorsement added to my existing driver's license. Insurance, I kind of laugh at this. We have some really high rates in the area, but for this scooter, it's less than $1 a month for liability only on a multi-scooter policy. And even with full coverage, my Vespa is $80 less than my car. Safety gear. You don't have to buy this for a car, but for a scooter, you definitely need some gear. Everything I bought was good value for the price. I'll link all that below, but that was another $400 that I had to spend pretty quickly. Then there's functional accessories. So scooters have storage in the underseat compartment, but really to get back and forth to work and all the things I needed to bring, I had a backpack, but I also needed a rack and a bag that I put on the back that would also handle things like for groceries for the family or potlucks or what have you. So the rear rack and a bag was about another $200 more so that I can make it functional. And again, expenses you don't need if you're driving a car. Just to get going on the scooter, I spent about $4,400 for the scooter and the gear. Anything else I bought, like the scooter cover here, those are wants versus needs to make a scooter functional. So I didn't include those. To get going in that RAV4 adventure that I had, that was an MSRP of $33,000. So while I didn't need a special license or safety gear, it's still quite a bit more than the $4,400 that I had to shell out for the scooter. So that's a huge upfront difference, but what about monthly costs? I drive on average about 2,000 miles a month, and just under half of that is on the scooter by myself, and the other half is family driving or bad weather driving. This buddy kick, they advertise closer to 100 miles per gallon. It's 86-ish miles per gallon is what I'm actually getting, but that SUV was 23 miles per gallon. Driving the scooter for my commute primarily, and plus those one-off trips that I take on my own, saved me about 30 gallons of gas in a month. I had no idea it was that high. Despite using premium gasoline, based on the prices in December of 2021, that's a $75 per month savings. That's much higher than I thought it would be. So I've been able to do maintenance on my scooter, and I can't say that I can do the same thing for my car. Also, I tend to get somewhere between 30 to 40,000 miles on a set of factory tires. Based on the 2,000 miles a month, let's say 30,000 on the low end, that I would have to replace tires at 15 months. But by using the scooter, it's now 28 months. Replacing two 10-inch tires is a lot cheaper than replacing four 17-inch tires. Did it actually save enough money to make it worth it? Assuming I didn't have a car payment, which I did, and then I break out the fuel, the insurance, the maintenance by month, I was spending $468 on transportation cost every month. But I'm spending $626 if I had just had the SUV on its own. So no scooter, $626. Adding a scooter and replacing somewhat close to half of the miles, it's $468. That's about $160 saved every month. That $160 a month savings divided into the $4,400 that it took to get going on the scooter, it takes me about 28 months to break even when you layer in an average monthly use of maintenance and all of that. Case study number two. What happens if you get a scooter but you're replacing another vehicle? Go into a little bit of a backstory. Gas prices are rising. Truck prices have gotten ridiculous, and here I am shopping for a 300cc scooter. One of the dealerships had a Suzuki Bergman, and now he's decided he wanted to shop for a scooter.
You bought me a scooter? No, I bought me a scooter!
He drives about 35 miles one way on Houston interstates 5 days a week. He landed on a Kymco AK550. Review coming on that AK550, so hit that subscribe button if you want to know when it's out. So the upfront cost now, the MSRP on an AK550 is $9,400. The MSRP on a Toyota Tacoma is over $33,000 to start. And oddly enough, my husband sold his 3-year-old Toyota Tacoma for $31,000 just a couple of months ago now. License, he's already got one from his Harley days. And insurance is $12 a month versus the Tacoma at $95 a month. Safety. I recently met a subscriber who thinks that I'm super judgy about folks and their gear. Well, I am over helmet, but my husband actually didn't own anything but a helmet before he bought this AK550. But since he's using it for his commuter, I did talk him into wearing more gear. So we did spend $500 on some safety gear, including some heating equipment so that he doesn't freeze, even though it's Texas freezing. Accessories, none. This Kymco is pretty tricked out on its own. He does have his radar on a rack, but it's totally functional as is. Gas. So they're advertising that this scooter is getting about 60 miles per gallon. Rich can only get about 53 miles per gallon out of it is what he's telling me, but that's versus the truck that was at 23 miles per gallon on commute days. So what are the savings? Despite the cost of the scooter being much higher than he really was comfortable spending, the decision to ride daily saves our household $500 every month. Now we all know that vehicles need to be replaced. And so let's pretend that the Tacoma was only going to last 5 years and that the scooter will only last 3 years. We're testing this out and we'll report back when we get there. But even if this is true, that we need to replace a top of the line scooter after 3 years or the lower end of a truck every 5 years, this still saves about $300 a month from that regard too. So if you're saving for your replacement vehicle plus the monthly expenses associated with actually having what you to maintain and keep what you own, that's $800 a month that we're saving by driving this over a truck. How much can you save? So you can tell how much you're going to save is dependent on your situation. Are you adding a scooter? Are you replacing a vehicle? These case studies are just from our house. And since we're about the Vespa, I lucked into a job that's fully remote and we now have a shared car for family stuff. I'll have to report back later when I'm only driving for fun and for family things instead of a daily commute. Subscribers here know how much I love a good spreadsheet to help me work through things, including my scooter hobby. Let me know in the comments if you want me to clean up my spreadsheet so I can share it and you can kind of plug in numbers for your situation. There's definitely pros and cons about riding a scooter versus a traditional vehicle. So you'll definitely want to watch that next video to learn more, especially if you're interested in the benefits of riding a scooter beyond the money. I'm adding an element to the end of videos to really give shout outs and thanks to those that are helping and sharing all this information you guys do as, you know, I've become more a part of the scooter community. Comment, direct message, reply to the weekly newsletter, whatever floats your boat or scoots your scoot. Just let me know what you've got to share. But with this video, I want to thank Jake Floyd, Dan Bryant, Busy Wave, and Lewis815TX for submitting questions on the AK550. So hopefully I can put together a review that's meaningful and useful to you guys. Be seen and be safe, scooter friend.